Well, welcome everybody to the March 2nd, 2015 Echo and AT session. Today we will be learning about clicker books from Neil Andrews. And we have a presentation by Gail Bowser. So kind of flipping the tables a little bit and having her present a case to us. So we're really excited about that. As with every Echo session, we'll start with some quick introductions. I'm Canyon Hardesty, right here sitting at a different place in the table so I can actually see our screens. I'm the coordinator of community education here at WIND and your facilitator for your Echo and AT session.
My name is Julia Lausch, and I am the project coordinator for the Wyoming Vision Collaborative.
I'm Mary Ginsel, occupational therapist. I'm Darcy Regan, speech-language pathologist.
Lindsay Alameda, project coordinator for water.
Connie Clements, special ed and TBI for Albany County School District number 1.
Giselle Knopf, assistive technology associate.
Tom James, Steve.
Barbara Lott, project coordinator for water in Lander.
Great. Let's go ahead to our lead trainer. Gail, do you want to go?
Hi, I'm Gail Bowser. I'm coming to you from Oregon, where we're now having a typical rainy, gray winter. I'm the lead trainer for the ECHO project, which usually means I don't do training, but that I work with people like Neil. Today as Canyon said, we're flipping the tables a little bit, and I'm going to do the case presentation.
Great. Nancy Jo?
I'm Nancy Jo Vogel. I also am here from Oregon, the coordinator for Oregon Technology Access Program.
And I'm Shar Powell with OTAP, and I'm the AT resource specialist and trainer.
Great. Thanks so much for joining us. Casey, do you want to go next?
Casey Woodhelm, Fremont County School District number 1, case manager, AT coordinator, and with me I have Carrie Polson, who's the case manager, and Ellen Holzman, speech language pathologist.
Great, thanks for joining us. Billy, do you want to go next?
Wow, happy March everyone. I haven't been away that long, but I already forgot how to unmute my mic. I'm Billy Wortham. I'm an audiologist with the Department of Ed, and I'm in the Riverton office. Good to see you all.
Good to see you. Terry?
I'm learning to unmute my mic. I'm Terry Fox. I am in Kansas City on the Kansas side, for those of you that may know. I am assistive technology resource specialist for Shawnee Mission School District, which is a suburban school district here.
Great, thanks for joining us. Laura?
Hi, I'm Laura Ozias Townsend. I'm a vision outreach consultant for the Wyoming Department of Education.
Great. Annie?
Hi, I'm Annie Bowers. I'm speech language pathologist in Sheridan County School District number 2. I'm part of the state PLC as well as our district PLC for AT.
Great. Eric?
Hi, I'm Eric Freeman, Natrona County School District Assistive Technologist.
And then we have a couple of other individuals who've joined us. Kay, who is an SLP in Washakie County School District for 33 years, and Michelle Doyle, who's an occupational therapist in the same school district for 23 years. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We wish we could see you, but hopefully you can hear the presentation today and then watch the recording later if you'd like to. So with that being said, thanks everybody for joining us. We're going to have a didactic discussing clicker books and then followed by a case presentation, as we mentioned before with Gail. Just one announcement that I have, we sent out a survey. As we keep talking about here, we're going to be doing a networking conference, hopefully this summer, to get everybody here in Laramie, meeting each other face-to-face, talking about the ECHO project, learning about some different things, and then trying to do some additional planning for next year. So please, if you haven't already filled that out, if you'd go ahead and fill it out. I think Giselle will be sending out a couple of reminders throughout the week to individuals. Just make sure you fill it out. We want your voice to be heard. There's 2 parts to the survey. The first one talks about the actual summer conference. And of course, while we were sending you out a survey, we asked a couple of additional questions about training topics for next year for ECHO. So we're trying to plan for those and arrange speakers. So if you guys have an idea for a speaker, or if you want to be a speaker, please let us know. Does anybody else have any other announcements? Nope. Okay, with that being said, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Neil.
Thank you very much, folks. Just a quick check. Can everybody hear me? Somebody nod encouragingly. Excellent. Okay, great. Thanks very much for giving me the opportunity to present this afternoon. What I'm going to try and do in about 35 or 40 minutes is show you not just Clicker Books, but I was talking to Gail, and I want to give you a sneak peek or a preview of an AAC app that we were showing at ATIA a few weeks ago, which went down really, really well, called Clicker Communicator. So I'll try and give you a sneak peek of that at the end. Just remind me, folks, what's the protocol with regard to questions? Do you want me to present and then have questions at the end? Is that how you normally do it? I can't remember from last time.
It's up to you, Neil. How would you prefer that we do it?
Oh, I don't really mind. I mean, if people want to jump in with questions, I'm absolutely fine with it. So just unmute yourself and interrupt me. And if I start talking too quickly because I drank too much coffee on this Monday, then you'll tell me to slow down as well. Okay, great. So first things first, let me share my screen, make sure that the tech is working here. So I should be able to share my screen here, Air Server, and hopefully, does everybody now see my my iPad screen? If I tap on here, do things change? Do you see things moving around? Yes. Okay. Excellent. Okay, great. So what you see on the screen in front of you is a blank page within the Clicker Books app. And if I just take a step back for a second, the idea behind developing a bookmaking app to add to our expanding range of Clicker apps family was to take aspects of the bookmaking wizard within Clicker 6 and really to maximize the benefit of that in terms of an app. And what I mean by that is producing a bookmaking app that could be delivered at cognitively appropriate levels for the users that you're working with. So yes, you can make nice shiny books with pictures and recordings, and children can explore the books by themselves, and that's all very exciting and fantastic, and there's lots of apps out there that do that. But what we were really all about was trying to come up with some ways of making it super easy to build templates for students to create their own talking books and feel the empowerment of doing that. I'm just going to try and make my screen a little bit, oh, there we are, I can see now. I couldn't quite see my screen on with the video screens in front of it. Okay, so on my screen at the moment, what you see, as I say, is an empty page within a Clicker book, and there are 4 building blocks within each page of a book that you make. I'm going to show you how you put a page together. Then I'm going to show you some resources that have been made with Clicker Books. And finally, I'm going to show you what those pre-made books, or what those books made by students look like in template form, and what supports were provided. So there are 4 colored boxes here. You can see title, picture, text box, and sound recording. That's blue, red, green, and orange, working your way down the left-hand side of the screen on my iPad. So if I tap on title, you can see that a box goes in at the top of the screen and allows me to put a title in here. So let's just go ahead and write in there. Okay, so when I tap in the title box, up comes a keyboard that some of you will be familiar with from Clicker Docs. That's where it comes from, and I'm using the Clicker Docs keyboard with a predictor to help me produce my title. So I'm just going to write something very imaginative like my book. Okay, done. Then I'm going to put in my picture, and this layout is an inline layout, top to bottom. It's giving me a title, then below that a picture, then below that a text box. Okay, we can have all kinds of different layouts available to students. And when I put in my picture, there are 3 choices for my picture object. I can browse my camera roll. Okay, I can paint a picture, which most people seem to get very excited about. So I can draw a picture and put in objects and change the colors and do all the kinds of things that you might want to do with a painting tool. So I can draw the picture for my book, and then when I put in my text box, that pushes the picture up and puts a space below the picture for my text box to go in. And on this title page, I'm just going to put by Neil. One of the functionality pieces I want you to notice there is that while I have the text box open, by default, it's showing me the picture at the same time. Critically important, if this was a text box within a page of a book, it would be really useful, wouldn't it, to be able to see the picture that you're writing about. Many apps don't provide that facility. So let's just tap done. Once the picture is in there, in case you're wondering, yes, you can pinch zoom that. Okay. And also what you're noticing, as I showed you in the apps last time around, is wherever I tap on the screen, you see little red circles called show touches, and it's phenomenally useful when you're doing a webinar, let alone any other setting, if you're connected to a smart board or an Apple TV or something and trying to demonstrate to your students. The last object allows me to record my own voice, and you can see now at the top of the screen, I can record anything I want into the sound recording tool. Tap on stop, and then that play button at the top will play back my recording. Once I'm done with my page, I can use the triple arrow at the bottom right of the screen to move to another blank page, as you can see there. And once I'm done with the book and ready to use it, I can tap outside of the objects, and we go into the equivalent of run mode, and you can see there is a page to turn there and start using the book immediately. Okay? All right. That seems, on the face of it, to be very simple, doesn't it? We've got 4 building blocks. We've got our title box, our picture box, text box, and sound recorder. Any questions on those basic building blocks for pages in a book? Great. Okay. So if you want to edit or change the building blocks once you've put them in, let me just show you that real quick. It's the same in each of them. So you tap on this blue settings or a tool icon here, and you can change, for example, the text color within the text box. You can change the background color. You can change the border color very, very quickly and easily within any object on the page. You can also, importantly, delete any object and take it out if you don't want it on that particular page. You can see it takes care of all of that for you. Okay. With regard to layout, as I said to you just now, there are several different options. The default is tiled, so it's going to put the layout as I just showed you. So that takes away some of the decision making and maybe distraction of making a talking book for some users. So we're focusing in on the writing aspect rather than the 2 hours of tweaking the layout to get the picture just here and the text box just here, which could be appropriate, but sometimes is not. There are several other options there that you'll see in my other examples as well. Okay, to get back to the Explorer view, to the place where I browse and open other books, I tap on this triple page icon at the top of the screen, and then just like the other Clicker apps, you can tap on the Clicker Explorer icon here, and we go into our Clicker Explorer view, and it's here where we can manage our files, download resources from other sources, and as I'm about to do, show you some other ready-made activities and how they were provided to the students in question. So in order to provide you with some actual kid-made examples, I'm going to go into my book safe here. And within the book safe, this is just a folder that's provided with the app. It's a bit like having a read-only folder. If you've made a book and you want to make sure that the master copy stays unchanged, you make a copy of it in here, and basically when you tap on any of these files within the book safe, it opens a copy of it in the main iPad folder. So we're going to go with this Halloween riddles example here. Now I have to say I'm a little bit biased with this example because it was actually created by one of my own children. Okay, my kids, as any, I'm sure that you're all the same, those of you working in technology. My kids are definitely guinea pigs for new apps when they come out. We like to try all the new stuff out on them. So James is my young son. He was in first grade when he made this book, and I'm going to show you what he finished with, what was the outcome, and then I'll show you the template that I prepared for him to show you what I mean by that cognitively appropriate template function that I was talking about a few minutes ago. So James came home from school the Halloween before last, very excited. He'd learned all these Halloween riddles, and we decided to make a book. And this was the outcome, okay? So please don't feel obliged to laugh too loudly. The jokes are a little corny, okay? All right, I know you're all muted, so I can't hear the hilarity. Okay, so what did the werewolf eat after? So as we go through, we've got a riddle on each page, a picture and a punchline, and a recording as well.
Where did ghosts go on vacation? The Bahamas.
Okay. So you can hear the comic timing there, the pause for effect before the punchline. I trained him well. So as we go through, we've got different riddles on each page. So that's kind of by the by. What did I actually give James for him to be able to produce this book in the first place? So let's jump back into Explorer View, and let's go back into the book safe. And this time I'm going to open Halloween Riddles blank. So now you can see we're on a blank page, just like the one I showed you at the beginning with the 4 building blocks, right? Now, in the beginning, I showed you a blank page with all the default settings. So when I tapped on title, the title went into a fixed position. Well, in this example, I decided to give James free layout so he could manage where each of the objects went on the page, and he could move them around. So that's what a free layout looks like. Next, and even more importantly, when he goes to, or when he went to write in the title box, rather than just providing him with that ClickerDocs keyboard and predictor, I set up this template so that it went directly to a series of word banks. Can you see those? So I've got 7 tabs along the bottom, which say riddle 1, riddle 2, riddle 3, etc. And each of those word banks is effectively a scrambled version of the riddle. So he gets to choose what order he puts the riddles in, but I'm giving him lots of support in terms of unscrambling a sentence rather than just giving him a keyboard. If he wants to type, he can easily toggle to that keyboard that I showed you before, but most of the time he's going to be working with the word bank. So this is what I mean about cognitively appropriate support, okay? So let's put in a riddle, okay? So
where did the ghost go on vacation?
Hopefully you're hearing that when I punctuate my sentence, I get my speech support. And of course, I can also use my sound shift button at any point to review the words that are in the word bank. So I'm not quite sure what a word says.
Vacation.
I can listen to it.
Where? Ghost.
Okay. Really important to know that you've got that speech support within the word bank. All right. So then I'm done. Okay. So I could manipulate that a little bit. Then I'm going to put in my punchline. And again, when I tap on the pencil, instead of getting the keyboard that I showed you before, which is still accessible if I want it to be, I've set it up so that I've got 7 riddle punchlines to choose from. Okay.
The Bahamas.
And I'm going to do done. Maneuver that around to fit where I want it. Now, when I go to the picture object, you'll notice that instead of giving James access to the painting tool and the camera roll, as well as the camera itself, I've just given him access to one thing, which is a picture bank. So you can specify a very contained set of pictures to use within a book, again, for reasons that I'm sure you can all work out, narrowing down those choices. So I'll go into my picture bank icon, and I've just, prior to creating the book, I've chosen the pictures with James on Google Images, and I've put just those pictures that we've chosen together in, so that we're not spending a lot of time drawing, painting, choosing, which in some instances would be appropriate. In this, it was not. Pick my picture, in it goes. And the first thing he says is, "Oh, Dad, that doesn't look right. The text doesn't stand out." So I teach him how he can go in there, change the text color to make it stand out on the page. So he's really got full control over this book. And then he goes in, final step, records the riddle and the punchline, and he's made the first page of his book. Okay, so that's why we think this app really sets itself apart from lots of others. We've got this ability to create cognitively appropriate templates to support students. Okay, all right, no questions, so I'm going to carry on. Within my Explorer view again, I want to just talk to you a little bit about downloading ready-made resources and file management, okay? So within the app itself, if you tap on examples, it does come with a range of ready-made books grouped together into sets of 3, read, talk, and write. So you've got the animal homes, read, talk, and write, animals of the savannah, read, talk, and write, colors, etc. And when you go into any of those books, they're going to open right up, and they're going to give you instantly accessible, ready-made talking books, okay? Just my finger's got a little dry, I can't swipe.
Rabbits dig underground holes called burrows. They hide in the burrows when there is danger.
Okay, so we're going to go through our book and review. And that's a relatively passive book. We're just reading and listening as we go through. And then we might move from that book onto Animal Homes Talk, which gives us the same set of pictures. But this time there is no text, just a sound recorder, which we can record our voices on. Did someone have a question? Somebody unmuted themselves. I don't know if it was a mistake or not. Okay. And from there we might move to Animal Homes Write, which gives us all the same pages, but this time we get to edit the text to go with the picture based on what we've already learned. We're presented with that ClickerDocs keyboard, and in a similar vein to the example I just showed you, there is a bank of words sitting behind the keyboard that gives me that target vocabulary to help me write. Okay? All right, everybody good? Excellent. So, back to the iPad view. So what about when you've used all the examples, but you're not ready to make books by yourself? Well, at that point, what you're going to do is tap on Learning Grids at the left-hand side of the screen, and you're going to be taken, just like Clicker 6 and all the other apps, to a website called Learning Grids, which contains tons of ready-made cross-curricular materials, okay? Hands up any dog lovers out there. Come on, hands up. Nobody? Oh, yeah, a few. Okay, good. So our curriculum specialist, Tanya, who I think, Gail, you know Tanya, she's dog, she's dog crazy, and she's actually made a load of talking books about her own dog, Rosie. So I thought I'd just show you one of these. So let's grab Rosie's Busy Day Read. If you tap on Run Now, the resource downloads from the web and opens directly onto the iPad. It's a very slick interaction and relationship between the online resources and getting them onto your screen. Is that the cutest dog ever, or what? Look at Rosie. Tanya would tell you that's the cutest dog ever anyway. Okay? So just to recap, we can access lots and lots of ready-made resources directly from within the app via Learning Grids. Okay, so you can make them very easily, you can download them very easily, you can use the examples too. And the last thing I'm going to say about this app, I wish I had more time because I could show you how to set up those templates, but I want to show you Communicator as well. When you're ready to share resources, just like the ClickerDocs, it's super easy. Tap on Edit, pick the files you want to share, and then you can either tap Share, the bottom right, and you can AirDrop, email, Dropbox, or Google Drive, or you can simply copy them, tap on your chosen file sharing method, Dropbox or Google Drive or WebDAV, and paste them right in. Okay, so integrated access and connection with Dropbox and Google Drive, and also now the ability to AirDrop as well. So really easy to get the books off the iPad. And some of you may be thinking, what about exporting the book as a PDF? Absolutely, you can do that too, so that somebody else can look at the book who doesn't actually have the app. Okay? You can do that here. You can see, open as PDF. All right. I think that's everything. Oh yeah, just last thing, file management. This applies to all of our apps really, because you're going to be creating a lot of resources by yourself using all of the Clicker apps. One thing I always say to people is think about file structure. Think about a folder structure that works for you. So when you go into Explorer View, tap on the plus sign and start creating folders to hold the resources that you make. It's kind of 101 for a lot of people, and forgive me if this is obvious to you, but a lot of people come back to me and say, how do you organize the stuff that you create? Because it's a little bit different than doing it in Windows, say. So if I was to type or create a folder in here called Echo, then I wanted to make a book to share with my colleagues within the Echo group, I would go into the folder, tap on the plus sign, create the book, give it a name, and then go right in and start creating. As opposed to going into the edit view and just simply creating from that location. Because when you do that, you're not really sure about where your books are going to save. Okay. All right. Any questions on Clicker Books?
Neil, one of the things that happens to folks like me who live out in the woods, and some folks in Wyoming too, is that we don't always have internet access. So I just want to confirm Clicker Books will work without an internet connection on your iPad.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. So imagine you were out and about in the woods making a talking book. Fantastic example. So let's go in and open that Echo One book, and we could actually literally be taking pictures with our camera as we go, right? So the only problem is my camera has got a thing on it. So there we go. We take a picture, and it goes right into our book. Yeah. So the only time you actually need that internet access is maybe when you get back to school or back to base, and you want to actually share that resource, right? So at that point, you're still looking at your iPad view. This is local to the iPad, and it's only when you go edit and copy that you're then going to want to be able to have an internet connection to access your Dropbox or your email or your Google Drive. Great question. So yes, independent of the internet while you're creating. Any other questions?
Yeah, you said that you can share this with somebody who may not have the app, but by saving it as a PDF. Can you tell us what that looks like and how that cool feature works?
Yes, so let's go in and edit that book, and we will go in and we'll actually open that as a PDF. Can you see? You've got your choice of, I'm going to open it in iBooks because that's probably the most common one. Okay. And you basically you don't get the sound, you don't get the recording, of course, because it's a PDF, but you basically get a WYSIWYG. It looks the same as it does within the app. So it's nice to be able to export as a PDF, right? Okay. Yeah, another question?
Well, is there a way to export it without the app and still get the sound?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. What?
Any other questions on that? Okay. Well, I'm just conscious of time because I've got about 10 minutes left, right, Gail? And I want to show them. You want me to show them this exciting new AAC app, right? Yeah, she's nodding her head.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's my time you're taking, so you can take a little extra if you need to.
Thank you. Okay, great. All right, folks. So I'm now going to give you a sneak peek, if you like, at an app that's not yet in the App Store. It's an app called Clicker Communicator. And my caveat before I show it to you is it is a development version. It does not have the final examples in it. The color coding that you see is not the final examples at all by any means. I'm showing you this really with functionality in mind. So I'm very aware that I have lots of experts here who may be making judgment calls on the color patterns I've used and things. These are not the final examples, okay? So the idea was with Clicker Communicator, we wanted to take a really intuitive user interface of the Clicker apps and come up with a communication app. And we first showed this at ATI, like I say, a few weeks ago. And I have to say it was received with lots of excitement. So I'm going to open it up here, and I'll give you a quick blast for 10 minutes. Okay. So what you can see on your screen is just an example of how we might use what we call a vocabulary set to support communication. I'm going to tap around on the screen just to give you a few names of the areas we're looking at. Up here, we call this the message area. And when we tap cells and send text into the message area, we can listen to it. Okay, so as you would expect to take place in lots of other communication apps and communication tools that you're familiar with. Any cell that you see in the grid with that kind of corner color on it means that it's going to open up another topic or another set of grids. So if I tap on chat, okay, I'm going to tap hello, how are you? Now, a lot of you will be familiar with the symbols that you're seeing. This app is going to ship with 22,000 symbol sticks or news to you symbols, and there will be in-app purchasing available for the board maker symbols and also the widget symbols as well. But it does ship with the symbol stick symbols. Okay, so if I want to listen to my message or play my message out loud, I just tap in the message area.
Hello, how are you?
Now, I don't expect you can hear that very clearly via the webinar, but what we're also shipping with this app are 3 voices: an adult female, a boy, and a girl's voice as well. Okay, so it's really easy to send messages and create messages within the app. That was my first point, and we can clear the message area with 2 taps of the red backspace or delete button there. Okay, in order to show you how easy it is to create vocabulary sets, which is one of the unique parts about communicating, which is how fast it is to make stuff on the fly, I'm going to actually open up a different resource, and you can see when I tap at the top of the screen I get a toolbar that's very similar to the other clicker apps, and indeed an Explorer view that is identical to the other clicker apps. And I'm going to open up the simpler example here. So let's imagine now this is the starting point for a vocabulary set that we want to make. Okay, so we've got our home button up here and our keyboard button here. I'll show you that a little bit later if I can grab enough time. And down at the bottom of the vocabulary set, you can see that there are 4 topics: food and drink, feelings, places, and play. I'm going to choose food and drink. And I've deliberately created a topic here which is almost entirely blank. Okay, I can get back to the home grid, and I can also open my keyboard. Again, I'm going to show you that a bit later. But all I've provided here is I like and I don't like. I want to show you how quick and easy it is to get text and images into these grids. So I'm going to go into Edit View, and I'm going to show you some pretty cool stuff here. So over on the left-hand side of the screen, I can see all of my topics listed. There's my home grid. There's my places, play, food and drink, which is the one I'm about to work on, people, feelings, and clothes. Let's go back to food and drink. So if you want to, you can focus cell by cell. So if I tap on an individual cell, I can pull it out and type something in. What should we have? Some chocolate. We're talking about food and drink. Okay. Over at the right-hand side of the cell, I can either take a picture with my camera, or I can browse all available pictures that relate to that word. Can you see that? So it's opening up all references to chocolate within symbol sticks. I'll choose chocolate buttons, or whatever you call those. In the release version, you'll also be able to tap on the paintbrush here and annotate or draw into the cell and even annotate the symbol, which we understand is something that a lot of people want to be able to do. So there we go. We put a picture and a word into a cell. Not bad, right? Pretty quick. Wait till you see this. Down at the bottom of the screen, you can see there are 2 plus icons, a T plus and a picture plus. Let's do that one. So the first thing you notice when I open up that picture icon there is that it only gives me food and drink folders and symbols. Now, when you're browsing through 22,000 symbols, that's a pretty big feature because it drills right down to the areas that you want to work on, and it knows that you only want food and drink based on the topic that you've created over on the left-hand side. Okay, so let's jump in and choose some pictures. Right, I'm going to be pretty random about it because we haven't got much time. At the bottom of this picture popover, you can see that I've selected 5 pictures so far. I'm going through. I'm deliberately going to pick more pictures than I know I've got cells to take them, so you can see what happens. I'm bored with fruit now. I'm going to go back in and choose some fast food. That's more like it. Look at that. Bit of a taco, bacon, burger, whatever we want. Big breakfast. Okay. I've got 20-odd pictures now. Let's do one more group. Let's do, gosh, I don't know, vegetables. Okay. Now, when I tap done at the top right of this popover, all of those pictures will populate into that grid that you can see, but we've got more than the available cells, so watch what happens. I don't know if you can see that very clearly, but it rapidly just creates another grid within the topic and puts those pictures in. And you can swipe through multiple grids within a topic once that population has taken place. All right? It's cool, right? Quick, easy, on the fly. If you tap on the T+ button, you can do what I've just shown you, but this time with text, okay? So let's go in here and type a few. I know we've repeated some, so I'm going to do apple, banana, gosh, I don't know, cabbage, curry, and one more. Boom, let's think. Watermelon. Okay? This text, folks, can be pasted in from an outside source. If you've got text which you want to turn into a communication board or a vocabulary set like this, you can copy and paste from any other source. And as soon as I tap on done, can you see that? The pictures have been selected from symbol sticks to go with my text. I don't know why curry is coming up with that. I guess that's a spice that you might use in curry. So we could go in there and choose an alternate image if we wanted to. Okay? Very easy to change what you've got. Let me talk to you briefly about some further editing options that you have. Imagine within this grid you weren't happy with that layout. Okay? You wanted to move things around. Well, hey, guess what? If you've ever used an iPad or an iPhone, it's going to be dead easy for you. Just grab the image you want to move and you just move it around within the grid, okay? If there are specific cells within the grid that you want to pin, you can select them. Let's imagine we wanted to select that column and never have that one moving at all. We can tap on the pin icon here. If there were certain cells that we wanted to hide or reveal, we can do a selection on some more cells here. Let's unselect those. And we could hide them or reveal them. That might mean if you're using a vocabulary set with multiple different students and you want to simplify it for some and make it more complex for others, as an example, or maybe you want to delete those cells altogether. You've also got an undo in there as well, of course. Okay. What else? A big feature here. Imagine you do want to do some color coding to these cells because black text on a white background is not appropriate for the students you're working with. So you could do a multiple selection here. And you could go right in and change the background of those cells altogether, or the text color, or the border color. And this was a big feature picked up at ATI. People seemed very excited that you could multiply format cells together within the grid that you're working on or within the topic that you're working on to use the right nomenclature. Okay, so now let's just tap done. All right, and we're very easily able to manipulate and edit the cells within a topic. And then I could move on to people and do exactly the same thing again. Remember, when I choose my picture insert icon, I'm only going to get images that relate to people. Okay? The topic of people. Did someone have a question?
Yeah, Neil, can you go back? I wasn't clear how you were selecting multiple cells. Can you tell us what you mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Should we choose a different topic? 'Cause since we've played around with that one, let's go into clothes. Okay? And this time I'm going to tap on the picture icon. You can see the picture icon down here. And all I need to do, Gail, I just need to tap once on the chosen picture and it's selected. And until I tap on it again, it remains selected. So, can you see?
Yeah, I meant within the grid. Once it's in the grid.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Let me put those in. Okay, so to select multiple cells within the grid, I'm first of all tapping on select at the top right. Do you see me do that?
Okay.
Then I'm tapping on the cells I want to work on, and each selected cell gets a little check mark at the bottom right. Yeah? And then I can do my multiple formatting with all of those cells at the same time. Okay?
Okay. What I wasn't seeing the word select because right now it says done, and that was what was confusing me.
Exactly. So when you tap on done, your selection is removed, and then you could make another selection like this and do some different formatting, okay? Or delete, or pin, or whatever it is that you want to do with multiple cells together, okay? One of the things I was going to say is that if you decide halfway through making a vocabulary set that actually, you know what, I've got this wrong, I don't like this format, I've got too many cells on a grid, I want to simplify it, or conversely, I want to make it more complex. It doesn't matter if you've already started making the vocabulary set, because you can tap on Format at the bottom left. I don't know if you can see that, but within that layout option there, I can increase. It's telling me that I'm going to change the layout if I do this. I can increase or decrease my across and down selection. So if I go up to 7 by 3, or 4 or 5, and then done, can you see how the grids take care of it? Now this is a development version, so it's not behaving exactly as it will, but one of the things I can do on the grid menu here is close the gaps. Do you see what it did there? It just moved all of the extraneous cells from the second grid to fill the gaps in the first one. Okay? Any questions so far? I've shown you a lot of different functionality there. No? Okay, good. So I've shown you how to format a vocabulary set. I've shown you how to format multiple cells within a grid or within a topic, within a vocabulary set. How do you actually go about making one from scratch? Well, if I go into my Explorer view now, let's do what we did last time. Let's make a folder called Echo. Whoops. Just take out the name folder one. And let's go into that folder and create a new vocabulary set. Okay, so this is from scratch what it looks like. So first thing you're going to choose is, what kind of layout do you want? Let's have 5 down and 5 across. We haven't talked about the tools. We're going to talk about them now. If you go into the Tools tab, you can decide which tools you want permanently available. I'm going to have Home, Back, Forward, Favorites, and Keyboard. Okay. I'm going to take the default name, Vocabulary Set 1. That's fine with me. Tap on it. It opens in the Edit view, and it creates this Home grid for me. I'm going to add a topic. And you can see that by default, it gives me some standard topics that come from symbol sticks. But you can also do a custom topic if you wish as well. I'm going to do a standard one. I'll do a slightly different topic to what I used before. Let's do, should we do technology? And TV, movies, and books. And people. And you see how I'm selecting multiple ones here? Done. In they go. Automatically on the home grid, it creates the links to those topics for you. You can see them there. And then within each of those, just as I did before, I could go in and add my pictures, my symbols, and my words very easily. Okay? Okay, great. Also within that format menu, I can choose to turn off the message area. If you want the grids to be appearing on their own without any message area at all, you can turn off the message area, and you're prompted, do you want the cells to speak when tapped? Most likely yes. So now the vocabulary set takes up the entire screen, or the grid takes up the entire screen. There's no message area.
Batteries. C battery. Calculators.
And you're using it purely to communicate, not to create a message. Okay. Let's just go back in and put that message area back. And what I want to do now is go into run mode and show you how these tools work. Okay, so the home button brings me back to the home page or the home grid. I can navigate with my arrows, and down at the bottom of the grid here, if I tap on this keyboard icon, you'll see a keyboard that looks very familiar to you from Clicker Docs, but guess what? We're using symbol sticks picture support in the predictor, which is quite cool. Check it out. Next word prediction. Okay, there's quite a nice keyboard available. Should you wish to make it available to a more a higher level user who wants to start free writing using symbol support, it's quite a nice transition. And those of you who came to my last presentation where we utilized super keys, that is available within the keyboard as well. So I can turn on super keys, and
My favorite color.
For a user with motor control issues, if you didn't see this last time, it splits the keyboard down into 6 very large clusters that are bigger targets than hitting individual keys. And then as soon as you choose the cluster, out it pops. You get the letter that you want. It's connected to the prediction. And then you choose your next letter there. And the predictor is talking not only to the sentence that you're creating, but also to the clusters that you're selecting in turn. Okay, so we've got a really nice predictive, symbol-supported predictive keyboard available within the app as well. Let's go back to the home for a second. The favorites button gives you options both for favorite messages, which you can add, so you can put messages in very easily. Favorite messages.
I am tired.
Okay, and or favorite vocabulary sets at the bottom of the screen there. And if you tap again on the favorites icon once favorites are opened, it shows you recent files. You can browse through all the messages you've used today, say, and pick out some messages you want to use again. And below that are all the vocabulary sets that you've used recently as well. So to sum up, what are we doing with our communication app? We're trying to make not just an app that supports basic communication, but an app that supports curriculum access. Truly supports curriculum access, because it is so easy to create resources specific to a curriculum area, as well as using examples that will ship with the app that will provide all of those core vocabulary sets that I know a lot of you will be very keen to see. And we're working on those as we speak with a view to an April release of this app. Fingers crossed, okay? For those of you who want to know, I'm going to tell you the price is going to be around $150, okay? And the in-app purchases of the other symbols, they're going to be about $50 each. So if you want to add the board maker symbols, or you want to add the widget symbols, that's how they will be available as in-app purchases. I'm going to throw it open in case anyone has any very quick questions, because I'm taking up Gail's time now.
Go ahead.
So what about visual scenes? Is it going to allow you to do visual scenes easily?
Can you just expand what you mean by that, please? I'm sorry.
So it's one of two ways. Either it's like a big picture with hotspots that you can talk about, or a big picture with individual messages around it.
Right. Okay. The layout of Clicker Communicator wouldn't allow you to do that, because you have to have a uniform grid of cells within the grid. But what you could probably use Clicker Books, the one I showed you before, to do something like that quite effectively as well. So I think the answer with Communicator, without having a long think about it, is I don't think you'd be able to do that, because I think what you're talking about is having like a background picture with hotspots on it, right?
It could be that, but you're right, the book might work as well.
I think the book would work quite nicely for that, yeah. Yeah. Any other questions?
We had a couple different questions. The first one was when will this be out? And I think you answered that. You said April.
Yeah, fingers crossed, April.
Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then the second question was, will it be accessible for scanning?
Yes. So all of our apps, we took a decision early on where we have built-in user access to Clicker 6 and Write Online, our two software tools, which you may be familiar with. With the apps, we took the view that because the idea of apps is to keep them extremely simple wherever possible, we would rely on the switch control built into iOS. Okay, and our understanding is, having spoken at length to Apple over the last couple of years, is that iOS switch control will gradually evolve and get better with each release of iOS. We understand it's a little blunt at the moment, and I'm sure whoever asked the question, you probably think that. But the converse solution, which would be to have a whole separate menu structure for individualized switch control, we felt was not necessarily in the spirit of successful apps. Does that answer your question?
It was typed into our chat feature, so I'm assuming. So Kay or Michelle, if you want to add, go ahead. Yes, it answers their question. Thank you. Go ahead, Darcy.
Is this going to come in any other languages, like Spanish?
That would be great, wouldn't it? I don't think I can. I think I will say to you, what a great idea, and that's all I'll say.
Perfect.
Any other questions? Sorry to be cryptic, but I can't answer that at the moment.
Or you could, and then you'd have to kill us, right? So.
Exactly. You know, like the old.
We don't want that to happen, Neil.
I almost said it, but I didn't know if anyone would get the joke. So yeah, exactly.
Right. Any other questions here in the room, or anybody in our virtual room have questions, comments? And how much is the Clicker Books that you showed us at the beginning?
Great question. Yes. So Clicker Books is $30.99. But what a lot of people are seeming to do with those core Clicker apps is buy them through the volume purchase program, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with. So if you buy 20 or more of an individual app, you actually get a 50% discount. So most people are paying like $15.50 for Clicker Books. If you want to buy it as a one-off, it's $30.99, and that includes all the functionality that I showed you and a lot more besides, because to show you everything for Clicker Books in 20 minutes, you just can't show all the functionality.
Great. Any additional questions? Well, thank you so much. And we actually had quite a bit of interest in attending this session, but apparently there's some in-service or something going on in the northern part of the state, so some members weren't able to attend. So Neil, I'd like to talk to you about that offline, just to maybe bring you back to at a different time to do a similar presentation when some other people are available.
I would welcome the opportunity.
Okay, perfect. So I have your email, and I'll go ahead and I can correspond directly with you. But thank you so much for your time and enthusiasm. We love people who come here that are excited about the products they're showing. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Could you please unshare your screen?
Yes, I was just going to ask you how I do that. Stop share, right?
There you go.
Okay, and then if I close my dialogue, I'm not going to shut down the whole meeting, am I? I have to dash to another meeting now, so I'm going to wave goodbye and say thank you for having me.
Perfect.
And I hope you give me the opportunity again one day to do this. It's a lot of fun. Thank you very much.
Great.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, Gail, we'll turn it over to you to talk about Echo Case ID 5318.
Okay, I'm going to actually share my screen, which should be interesting. Okay, there you see my Echo reminder. Let me close that up. The case I'm bringing you today is one that I have a bunch of questions about. So this was a great, Kenyon asked me to do a case presentation, and this was a great opportunity for me. She is attending school in a self-contained classroom for kids kindergarten through 3rd grade age, although there's some variability in that. Nobody's younger than kindergarten. A couple kids that might be a little bit older than 3rd grade age. She has autism, and the preschool early childhood special education program that she was in was very well designed and really focused on trying to teach her all different kinds of both expressive and receptive communication. They used a variety of different instructional strategies where she had a one-to-one aide with her, teaching either language directly or pivotal response training, all kinds of things like that. They used the STAR curriculum in addition to some other activities. When she came to the kindergarten classroom, though, what we realized was that a great deal of her time had been spent one-to-one with somebody, with an adult. And she's had, if I look at it, it appears to me not a whole lot of opportunity to interact with other kids. What I put up here on the screen is the communication matrix summary that her classroom teacher and I did together. So we've talked previously a couple times about the communication matrix. You'll see that on the very top bars up here of the matrix, she's got mastered both pre-intentional behavior, which is like infant kind of stuff, and some intentional behavior. She's got control of her body. She actually walks around. She can say words, but she doesn't use them with any communicative intent. She tends to just say words. It appears at random, although I always think there's some reason those words are coming out. She has a fair number of unconventional communication strategies, so that's the blue bar here. She can refuse, she can request in unconventional ways. She's beginning to do some social kinds of interactions. That's the third column here. Boy, I moved there. Social communication. So she can request attention, things like that. But other than that, you'll see that there's very little communicative intent, very little expressive communicative intent. The funny thing about this kid is her receptive language seems to be pretty good. She can follow two-step instructions, like go to your calendar and pick the activity that you want to do next. She can, she seems to understand most commands, but her expressive language is just pretty minimal. One thing, she does have a diagnosis of autism. One thing that we have a concern about is that she's one of those kids who is constantly making a repetitive sound, which is sort of a high-pitched whine that I can even imitate. So I'm not going to try. But if I were going to spell it out, it would be re, 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 only much higher than I can even get. We are concerned and wanting to give her more options for expressive communication. One of the things that's been happening, partly because of her transition to a new school, and I think also just more as she develops a sense of her own control of the world, is that her behaviors are starting, inappropriate behaviors are starting to emerge. So she, in addition to, exhibiting frustration with facial gestures and crying, she's beginning to yell. She's beginning to occasionally hit somebody if she can't communicate what she's trying to communicate. It's just getting messy. So here's the question. The question is, we've decided to try a basic augmentative communication device with her, in addition to further language instruction and further routines in the classroom, things like that, the picture calendar. she does use picture exchange, but hardly at all to communicate. She uses it more as a receptive language tool. So if you give her a picture, it helps her know what's going to happen next, but she will not, as a rule, give you a picture unless she's told to do it. So we're starting to think about using an augmentative communication device. What I really want to know from this group is, what do you think of that idea? And if you like it, how would you begin that process? And if you think it's a bad idea, what would you suggest otherwise? She's a tough kid and sort of a puzzle to us about what to do next. So how's that?
Perfect. So what questions do individuals have about the case or the student or some of the strategies that Gail has mentioned? Go ahead, Darcy.
Gail, how do the individuals in the room react when she makes those sounds, the high-pitched sounds?
They've learned to ignore it pretty much. She makes them constantly.
Okay.
It's sort of just become part of the background noise. It doesn't seem to be communicative, although I think when she's starting to be frustrated or even happy and excited, they get louder and more frequent, or more quick.
Okay. Other questions? Go ahead, Terry.
I was just curious if when she makes that high-pitched whine, if anyone has tried some different activities in the area of vestibular or tactile. I actually had a student once that the whining went down if we had one of those. It's that black chair pad that vibrates. People buy them when they have backaches. You know, you might try that, and if it works, that might be a really good motivator for her. I know in my student's case, that extraneous noise decreased. So that could be something to try, and then perhaps an icon that goes with that.
An icon. Could you say more about that, please?
Well,
an icon that goes with that.
Well, if you find that vibrating, it's a chair pad. I think you all know what it is. It heats and vibrates. And when we turned that on, my students' noise went down. And then we added an icon of that black chair pad. And then we placed that on a Big Mac, actually. And so it said, you know, that was how we started building some voice output for her. It had to be something that was really highly motivating. I have another question. On her existing visual schedule, do you have any idea how many icons she has on that? Like at any given time, how many choices is she presented or schedule parts?
I think there's like 8 or 10.
Okay.
She's not there for a full day, and they really tend to be used mostly for transition, for activity changes.
Other questions? Go ahead, Darcy.
Well, I was going to maybe tack on to some of the reasons she could be making those sounds, but Gail, you didn't think for sure they were communicative intent, but I wonder if instead of her making those sounds, there was more appropriate ways for her to get other people's attention. Maybe she wants to take a turn or help join in conversation with someone. So kind of like Terry said, just give her a way to say, hey, I've got something.
In my classroom observations, she has, she doesn't interact much. She tends to, if left to her own devices, she just wants to wander around the room. She doesn't often want attention. So if she wants something, she will get your attention. So I'm looking at this chart and thinking, okay, what's different about what I'm saying? If she's motivated toward project, she will grab somebody and just beginning to grab somebody and take them to that. But in terms of taking a turn, I don't know. I'm going to have to go back and do some observation, I think. Thank you.
Casey or Fremont County, did you guys have a question? I can unmute.
We didn't have a question. I don't know if I can do it. Are we there?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I was just wondering, is she past object recognition?
Are you
so she
still
can
there?
Photos and line drawings?
I'm sorry, my internet. Second, can you repeat that, please?
So Gail, I was wondering what her ability for recognition of photos or line drawings, or is it object recognition, or?
I'm not hearing.
We can hear you. I think it must be Gail's internet. So I'll go ahead and just type your question into the chat box. See if she.
Oh, sweet. There's, you're back.
Can you hear us, Gail?
She's frozen. There, I can hear you now. I don't know what's going on. Can you hear me?
Yep. Sorry, go ahead one more time, repeat the question.
So I was just wondering what level she was at, if it was object, picture, photo recognition.
Uh-oh. Oh, goodness. It's just because we did a demonstration of Echo last week and we didn't have any connection troubles because we're trying to get the university to pay for a license for us. And now it has proven me wrong.
It's Oregon's fault.
Well, that's true. It's because she lives out in the ruralness of Oregon. It did.
Really?
I know. Lockdown is going to log back in. I promise I won't make you repeat the question again.
I have a comment on it.
Can you see me now?
We can't see you. We can hear you.
We can see you.
We can see you now.
Are you there?
Go ahead, Terry.
Yep.
I was going to suggest that it sounds like since she's being presented with a visual schedule, in other words, you know, folks are communicating to her what they want, that sounds a little like it might be icon-based and not object-based. And I wonder if also when she grabs someone's hand and takes them someplace, if that staff person could at that time have a little collection of similar icons to the visual schedule, but take those icons with her. The staff person takes the icons when the student's taking her someplace, and then try to pair whatever it is the student's asking with those icons. And then begin to move those icons onto her existing communication board or onto the AAC they're looking at.
So it's Gail hearing you.
Great. Thank you so much, Terry, for interpreting that. Gail, can you hear us again? Go ahead, Mary.
I was kind of feedback on Darcy, and I'm wondering if when she's making those sounds, if it's more to keep people away from her.
Oh.
She doesn't want the people that close to her, and it may be more of a keep people away. And then when she wants something, she's going in towards them. And so maybe there's some sensory issues there that maybe look at if she has to be in a setting where she needs to take turns or look at those kinds of things. Maybe there's some things they can do to kind of dampen down that sensory system, or that whatever is overloaded there, to try and bring it down a bit.
Go ahead, Terry.
I agree with that whole sensory concept with the noise that she's making, sort of like I said about the vibrating pad. It could be that a set of headphones with nothing playing in them, or different kinds of either music or even the sleep sounds that we are familiar with, like the ocean, things like that. Maybe do some survey about what it is that might interrupt that sound.
Go ahead.
There's an app called Brainwaves, and I use it with our son to go to sleep at night. And it, you can put different ambient sounds with it, or you can take songs off of iTunes if you have that on your iPad, and have it playing. And then these brainwave sounds are in the background, so you're not really attending to those. You're attending to this ocean sound or tree sound or whatever. There's all different kinds.
Does it work?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm getting my daughter a set of headphones.
I just put it in his room at night
Yeah.
and just let it play in his room for about an hour at night, and it's really helped his sleeping. So we haven't had to, he has some medication to help him with it, but we haven't had to increase that. So
neat.
It's and there's a lot of different options on it besides
But I would really try to pair icons that represent those sounds, or represent the sensory input that you're providing, and really try to make her environment rich with icons, and certainly talk to the student with the icons, as well as expect her to express herself with icons.
Great. What other suggestions do people have? Go ahead, Mary Jo.
So about the original question about starting her with voice output through the Go Talk or not. And I'm a big believer in voice output as much and as often as you can get it. Give them a way to communicate across distances and when people aren't seeing. I'm not sure for her whether you want to have the AAC voice output engineered throughout the environment so that the messages are easily there at whatever center or whatever she's going to get, or to have her own Go Talk and be switching out appropriate overlays that are relevant to the script and what she needs for that version. I think whichever works fastest for the teacher and would be the best. And my guess, it may be putting it in the environment right now to get her used to using it versus having to switch out Go Talk scripts. Then I think long term, though, we do want her using her own system, but maybe having kids in the classroom model using it as well. So she gets lots of kids using augmentative input. Kids should love that too, showing how it's not just for understanding, but how the kids get what they want. I would probably start with the thing that you think it's most motivating for her, the thing she's grabbing people to go get, and whatever you do with the AAC system, it's got to be faster than grabbing somebody and going to get it, right? So whatever she's grabbing and getting people to, then you need to be able to pause that so that somebody gets it faster because they use the AAC device. And then I've got lots of step-by-step on how to do this. My old standbys, Yvonne Gillette's Achieving Communication Competence does step-by-step like that. Goosen and Elders talks about engineering the environment, and we can give you the references on that. And then if part of it we want to do step-by-step on escaping and avoiding objects and activities, I always go to Johnston, Richley, Feeney, and Jones's book that tells you step-by-step how to set those kinds of things up. So those are my thoughts.
Great. Gail, are you back?
I think I'm back. Am I back?
Back. We've been taking notes for you though.
Yeah, I've been on for a few minutes already. I wonder if you could talk a little bit more about using augmentative communication to avoid experiences. That struck a chord with me somehow. This is really a kid who's not fond of interactions at all.
So the challenge, and again, I've got the perfect book chapter that step by step tells you how to do that, including how to keep data on it and all the things you want to do. The issue is you're going to want, probably not on the go talk. You probably want a one-hit message, a Big Mac or something, with the symbol you're going to use for no or finished or whatever. And then the job is to show how this gets people out of doing something. And so before we escalate into behaviors that you have to deal with, we want to catch early, so whatever the early signals are that it's okay to refuse, you get that in there quickly and help get the student to understand that this is a refusal that then lets her escape or avoid that. So before we escalate. Because once she learns that escalating, of course, gets her out of it. We don't want, her hitting or doing things that get her out of doing what she wants. So I'll give you the reference and the step-by-step on how to set that up.
Okay, thank you.
I'll throw in there too. There's also, if there's an OT involved, there are sensory profiles out there that will help in questioning to kind of dig out what are the sensory areas that are bothering you the most, and I would imagine that would go along with.
And then you would set those up
Right.
to know.
With what you're saying. So.
Yeah, we've actually done some sensory profile kinds of stuff, and her primary avoidance is touch. She doesn't like to be touched or touch. So they actually did some pretty monumental work with her, getting her to, to pick a picture and hand it to somebody. I mean, that was a big deal for her. But and there's some other stuff. Darcy.
Oh, I was just thinking another thing. You could have little baby dolls or little stuffed animals model on the device too. Sometimes kids like that. You do like a little role play or a little, and then you can do some modeling and self-talk that way.
Go ahead, Terry.
I was going to ask Gail, do you know what she takes the staff person to when she gets them by the hand and takes them someplace?
What I saw several times in my last half-hour observation was that she was out in the general classroom and she grabbed the staff person and took her back to a cubicle.
Well, and so maybe,
where they do work.
Maybe an icon that represents that kind of thing, and really like you were saying earlier, and I'm sorry I forget your name, the no, or I want to leave, or I want to stop, I want to go someplace else, something that might be common for that. Like if she gets the staff person, takes them out of the room to the cubicle, then say, oh, no, you don't want to be in here. Let me give you a couple choices of places we can go or things we can do. And it sounds like
so a note paired with some things that she could have.
Yes, that the staff person is in control of, that are available. Like, do you want to go to your cubicle, or do you want to, whatever the choices may be. So it could be a location, it could be an activity, things like that. But I agree, whatever communication system it is, it needs to be both ways. Staff needs to talk to her using it, and then also trying to help her use it.
Great. Other thoughts, suggestions? Annie or Eric? Go ahead, Terry.
I have one more. And I'd like to see you all take some data on a system that's silent, like the one she has right now. However, it sounds to me like it's a visual schedule, so it's just input to her. But if you could also provide her with those choices like I just talked about. And I'd like to see the data between it's silent, she points, or she gestures, and what is the response to the verbalization. It's hard to say whether that will be something that will annoy her, just add more auditory stim to her environment, or sometimes you see that the environment responds more quickly and she gets what she wants. So some data between the two, the existing just picture icons and verbal.
We did talk about that. Sound doesn't seem to be adversive to her, and but certainly as we introduce this, we were thinking that we'd begin with some line drawings that she's already familiar with and uses somehow, although you all have given me some different advice than I think what we planned initially. But so yeah, that first thing is really to try whatever the voice generation system we're going to try and take some data on that. And I know we did discuss whether or not it was aversive to her, and then whether or not it seemed to make any significant difference.
Go ahead, Barb.
Oh, and if touch seems to be aversive to this gal, a go talk, sometimes you just have to really pound on those suckers to make the cell activate. So I'm not sure that the go talk, that feature of it would, lend itself to her as in comparison to a more sensitive touch surface.
I thought of that same thing. Sorry, Barb, I was thinking the same thing all along. Now, I'll throw out there is a whole new lesson plan and way of teaching on the GoTalk app, and it's called AAC to Go by Patty King DeBon. So that's an option too, and it's got some cute little girl voices and girl icons on it.
Yeah, we talked about the iPad. There are iPads in the classroom. The classroom staff's afraid to give her one right now. They think it might last about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Barb.
So, and she can, we did try, pushing the GoTalk buttons just to see, if she was going to scream at us or something like that. She didn't react negatively in that short period of time.
Well, I'm just wondering, really what you know right now in terms of symbols and their meaning to this gal that you would actually put onto a device versus going back to some things that Terry was recommending about not only are you giving her an opportunity to get attention a little bit more appropriately, but then you're exploring how the symbol choices that you're providing her are helping her or not, and your data tells you what's helping or not, and then you know what to put onto a device versus like 20 random symbols that might not mean anything to her at all. And I'm all for voice output, but if it's if it's matched with something meaningful for the individual versus meaningful for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was sort of the kinds of questions we wanted to bring to this group was, how do we start? She can point to pictures. She's pretty good. You tell her, touch the car, touch the apple. She can do that stuff, and she's not using it anyway except to follow directions. So it seemed like a bit of a confusing transition to move her from being able to recognize something to being able to use it.
Go ahead,
I think the most important thing is that this new communication device has to have what she wants on it. And it can't be what we want. And I could even suggest that, you know, I mentioned a Big Mac with whatever sensory input she's seeking, but you could start with one message on the Go Talk and, you know, park it somewhere and then, you know, add to that. Mm-hmm. And add categories perhaps.
That's a really good idea.
I was just going to throw one more sensory thing. There's a sensory diet idea, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one.
Yeah.
Just kind of finding out what she likes and what works for her, and then presenting that at different regular times every day, not contingent, but just throughout the day, these certain things are going to happen. Maybe pair the communication.
Can you tell me a story about that? Can you give me an example, please?
Oh gosh, it's been so long since I've actually had to do it. If they're going to come into the classroom and they have to sit down in a circle or something, and so she's got to be with the other folks. Maybe she either puts on a weighted vest, or maybe somebody does something with her with some deep pressure before they go into that activity. Wrap her up really tight in a blanket and give her a bunch of deep pressure, and then she can sit a little more longer in that circle, if that's going to be something that happens regularly every day. Just kind of looking at what her schedule is, what type of input. If she's always making these sounds, you know, maybe look at, is there some kind of vibration going on with the inner ear that she's doing with that? So maybe we can provide a vibrator at certain times during the day that she's using that vibrator to kind of get that input. And just, she knows that she's going to get it at, you know, before recess, or, you know, you just kind of like you do with your regular eating schedule. You just put these sensory things in there, knowing that she needs it throughout the day at regular time.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And we'll go ahead and when Mary Jo sends the step-by-step reference, we'll go ahead and make sure that we send it to a couple people from Washakie County as well. So absolutely. Well, we're nearing the end of time. It looks like a couple of people have to go ahead and get off. But Gail, thank you for presenting this case and talking through this with us. As you know, we would love to have you come back later on, maybe the first part of May, to talk about some of the data that you've collected and the outcomes of this student. Just to tell us what you did, tell us what worked and what didn't work, and hopefully we can all learn from that. So with that being said, that's the end of our session today, and we will see everybody next Monday, March 9th.
Gail, can you stay on for a minute?
I can.
Okay, nice.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.